hello, and welcome to the Coaxum Report. This is Terry Coaxum, your host, and I have the pleasure of being joined today by Reverend Kevin McCall, who is my brother from another mother. He is the president of Crisis Action Network. He's doing some phenomenal thing with Anointed by God Ministry, and it's truly a pleasure to have him join me today. Kevin, how are you?
New Year, Merry Christmas, and all that good stuff.
Happy holidays, my brother. Happy holidays. Happy holidays. So you're watching, for those of you that are tuning in, you can watch us on Amazon Fire TV. You can catch us on Android TV, on Apple, Roku. You can download the app at ourtv.network and listen to us simultaneously on WSTX Bloomberg. Welcome to the Coaxum Report. So, Kevin, it's a pleasure to have you on today. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing around this joyous occasion.
I've been in the holiday spirit. We have been dealing with the issue of increasing the population in the New York City area and the New York State area
Hmm.
as well regarding these migrants that are coming from um, all over the world. A lot of people don't know. You hear that people are just coming from Venezuela, but we have migrants that's coming from Africa. We got
Yes,
migrants coming from China. Got
yes,
even migrants coming from Russia.
yes,
So it's definitely something that has the uh, right to for people to join in to help and to lend a hand. So we have been feeding the migrants, dealing with more the West African population.
yes.
Those migrants who are single males, who don't really speak English, who don't have any services. We've been assisting and helping them to get and acquainted to New York City and just a different way of life. This is the first time in a lot of their lives that they are experienced cold because where they come from, there's no such thing as winter. It's always hot. It's always 90 degrees, and the humidity is always on a high. So this is their first holiday that they are, in fact, alone. They receive different services from us. We provide food for them on a 4 days out the week, just helping them provide and get acquainted to their new lifestyle and their new way of living. I can't.
So the Crisis Action Network is actually stepping in and making sure that all of these populations are getting the support and services that they deserve. Hold on 1 minute. Sorry about that. So you are actually, the Crisis Action Network is out there really just on the ground, boots on the ground, supporting and encouraging those that are coming into New York, and it's a record number of individuals that are coming in. So one, I want to commend you for the work that you're doing. But even before you get to that, Kevin, can you back up and tell us, who you are, how you got to be in the space that you're playing in right now? Because you got a lot of hats. You got a lot of different,
Uh,
you are changing the game as far as providing services for individuals in need. So just want to let my listening audience know who Reverend Dr. Kevin McCall is. And then we're going to get into some of the barriers that you faced, being in the space that you're in, encouraging and supporting not just the migrants, but individuals and of course, businesses, organizations, and communities. So talk to me a little bit about who is Kevin McCall, who is Reverend Dr. Kevin McCall, how you got to where you are, and what are some of the barriers to doing what you're doing right now.
well, I'm just a humble servant. I'm really am.
Me too.
God has been the center and all through my life. I've been doing this work for the last since I was 15 years old. I'm
Hmm.
37 now. I've been doing it. This is all I know how to be a catalyst for my people. So wherever my people are, that's where I'm going to be. I started my activism role of being an activist uh, when I was younger, and I worked for elected official. by the name of, at that time, he was a councilman. His name was Charles Barron. I worked for Charles Barron, and I volunteered for his office for the city council for 2 years straight without no pay. And then eventually he decided to hire me and bring me on staff. And I was a special assistant, and I climbed up all the ladder to become the youngest deputy chief of staff in the history of New York. And from then, I thought I wanted to. I learned a lot, learned about the budget, learned about legislation, and I wanted to run for office myself. And I wanted to explore the options of helping my community the best way I could. So I left and I ran for office. I became the district leader. But when I became the district leader, I had life happen, and I moved outside the district. The area I was representing at that time was Brownsville, East New York, and East Flatbush, and I left. And so I was no longer the district leader. And then from there, I started my own organization called the Brooklyn East New York Crisis Team, where we dealt with issues that was surrounding police brutality and victims of violence that lost loved ones on the streets of violence. And from there, I decided to work being out there in the community and being public and using the platform that God has given me to really help those individuals and providing a voice. And I was able to, in 2014, I was able to work for the office of the White House under the leadership of President, at that time was President Barack Obama, of the offices of the Interior, which dealt with the um, the office of the faith-based initiative. Every year, no matter what president is in office, the president signs a proclamation for the National Day of Prayer. So I became an organizer and traveled the country of USA, United States of America, getting individuals to come to the White House, to come to the Capitol, to celebrate and connect with other leaders like Reverend Terry Lee and others to really raise the temperature of the National Day of Prayer. And then from there, I worked uh, for the National Action Network, which is ran by Reverend Al Sharpton, the premier civil rights leader. I worked for him for 9 years, 5 years. I was his national crisis director, and I dealt with a lot of the crises that our people and our issues that we face on a day-to-day basis around the world. In 2019, I took a leap of faith and I left and I started the Crisis Action Center. I believe that people really don't want to hear about at that moment. They didn't want to hear about how you can save the world. They want to know how can you provide food in their household. How can you be able to help them get some basic necessities? So I started the Crisis Action Center, and from having that organization and that company was able to develop to where we was the only food pantry in New York City that provided hot meals after 7 p.m. There's a bunch of food pantries around New York City, but there's none that have hot meals.
Wow.
And we were providing that every day from 7 to 9 p.m. And then COVID happened. And then when COVID happened, we kind of stopped and really providing those services. I also became, in 2018, I became the president of Anointed by God Seminary and Alliance, where we help individuals to obtain more in their religious studies. Either you want to become a chaplain, or if you want to get your high school diploma, or if you are a candidate for an honorary doctorate degree, and we have been providing that service ever since I became president in 2018.
Right.
So it's been a lot that has
Yeah,
happened, a
you
lot
got
going
what
on.
I hear you
You
say is you
know,
got 25 jobs. But the good
the
thing
Lord,
is all of
the
them are
Lord has
working
really blessed
together
me.
to do God's work.
Amen.
I mean, it
Amen.
truly is. I mean, when I first hear you start talking out and you say 37, I'm saying 37 and you doing all this?
Amen. I mean, and
You've
just
done you've
God
done
will God will
you've
order
done a
your
lion's
steps to
share.
make things to put things in perspective. I when I was working for the councilman in Charles Barron, I learned a lot, but didn't really have the wherewithal to, because I was young, to really explore the options and to really help the people in the East York Brownsville community. And that was to date 21 years ago. So
Wow.
now God has given me the opportunity. One of my best friends he has become a council member. His name is Chris Banks. He's going to be
Right.
representing the 42nd Councilman of the district. This is
That's
the
right.
same seat that Charles Barron held.
That's right.
So now, 21 years later, I'm going back to the city council to work with
Wow.
him to help the same people. So God has His way of really aligning His people to do the work and what's needed for such a time and a season as this.
And that's
So I'm
truly an
I'm
alignment.
thankful.
That's truly an alignment. So you started out in the city council, so you're clear on how the city budget works, which is truly powerful and very needed in our communities. A lot of folks, they may go out and vote for their city council member, but is not sure what their city council member actually does. And so you're able to take it to the streets. You're always bootstrapped up and ready to go. And so that is truly, I'm thankful for that. In addition to the city council, you went to work at President Obama with the White House initiative, the faith based initiative. And so now that's a national role where you were able to really touch individuals of all faiths and work with them collectively to bring the vision and the mission of the White House and what they were doing to help our people collectively. Then you went from that role to coming back to New York and working for our honorable our honorable Reverend. And so, and Reverend Sharpton has been out there for years. He's been boots on the ground for years. He's done some tremendous thing. I'm very happy and honored to call him a friend. So working for the National Action Network and all that you did in that space, to go back to your community, become the district leader, to leave your community and now to come back and represent again, working with our brother from another mother, Chris Banks. And all these things are like really instrumental in just letting my listeners know who Reverend Dr. Kevin McCall is. But one thing, Kevin, I want you to understand is that we're not just talking to New York here, right? We're talking to individuals throughout all of the Caribbean, Southeast Asia, throughout the world, here in the United States. And so don't be surprised if you get a call from, TNT telling you, asking you why you were on their TV, because everyone's listening to us. And that's why it's important for me to kind of start off with the barriers. So one of the barriers I hear you saying is that one, your age and your experience when you first started out, but you were able to stay there and get all the knowledge, skills, and ability you need to be where you are right now. And what you didn't understand back then when you were 16, 17 years old, working for a council member Barron, is that you needed this information to be able to elevate individuals in your role now in crisis action, and able to not just be their advocate, and not just to be able to introduce them to different things, but you are now able to actually move the needle for them, because you know how city
Yes.
funding works, you know how the mayor's budget work, you know how the city works, and so it makes it even more of uh, uh, truly a opportunity for you when you are working with these migrants that are coming in from Africa and different places, because you understand how to follow the money. You understand what resources can and cannot be available to them. And you also understand what to ask for. And if it's not available, you know how to go out and get it. And so I want to commend you for all the work that you've done and got you to this point. So those are some of the barriers, right? But now I want to talk a little bit about the best practice. One best practice you already started talking about was actually starting your own organization in crisis action. One of the other best practices is meeting people where they are and giving them what they need in the time that they need it. Offering hot meals after 7 was really transformational in those different communities because there was no one offering hot meals at that time. Offering individuals an opportunity to get their high school diploma after so many years of not being in school and so many people telling them they can't do it, having that support and Anointed by God Ministries and helping them to get their high school diploma. Again, transformational. And so those are some of the best practice. What are some of the other things that you guys are doing on the ground that are helping individuals really take it to the next level in all of the roles that you're playing in right now?
Well, one of the things that we try to do with people is to empower them with the tools, the necessary tools that they can have, so they can be better individuals' lives. When you know, for instance, with the food, people think about food. The average person need to eat. A kid needs to eat. A kid can't function in school if they don't have a good meal at home. If they don't get breakfast at home, you can't function. So you thinking why the kid is not being good in school, or you thinking that they're not passing grades because they don't know the work. No, it's because they're hungry. You know,
Mhm.
it's a
Food is
really
a
a
necessity.
problem.
It's a
It's a
necessity.
it really is a problem in our community, that you can drive and you can see that we have long lines of food pantries in our community that people really need to eat. We had people who were city workers that was on our line that will
Yeah,
come frequently to be able to receive food. So we have expanded now to not just being in Brooklyn, but we also in the Bronx, where we in several communities providing produce for those individuals, that those churches and those organizations, there's care violence organizations and that need that particular services happens on a day-to-day basis. We also, with our high school diploma program, is that we find out that a lot of seniors who are up in age have never really graduated from high school. They
wow.
never had a high school diploma. So, well, we have a program that we actually starting that's where we are going to sponsor those individuals of seniors, uh, talking to the senior centers, talking to adult daycares, and letting them come and let them walk down the aisle and to be able to receive their high school
That's
diploma
right. That's
because they
right.
haven't, done so.
That's right.
So it's really a something that is, one of the things that is going to be happening in the near future. Working with my wife, Corrine, um, she is had a brilliant idea where she wants to take individuals from the inner cities to bring them to the motherland, which is Africa. Africa is something that you hear about it as a kid, you learn about it as a kid in some instance, but you never really experience it. The inner city kid never really been on a plane. The inner city
Mhm.
kid never really been out their comfort zone. They've been to DC, they've been to somewhere, and sometimes they haven't even been nowhere. So my wife has an initiative that we are partnering on to really take those inner city kids to the homeland and let them apply for it, let them learn about it, do homework about it, do some research about it to really bring them to the motherland. And not only just people of color, but to other countries. We need to
That's
know
right.
our history. The reason why that a lot of things happen within our own culture is because we don't know where we come from.
That's right.
We don't know where we got, and sometimes most of the time we have to go back before we go forward. And the opportunities that we didn't have, we need to be able to make sure that other children have. So we are
Well, best
grateful for
practices. So
that's going to
one
be
of these best
happening.
practices is working with the young people. Is
That's
actually
right.
educating the young people. Is actually showing them their history so it doesn't repeat itself. Right.
That's
Helping
right.
them to understand that they can do and be and are kings and queens. Right. And so a way to do that, this initiative to take them back to Africa, and I think it's something that we can actually partner on. So you tell my sister from another mister that we can definitely partner on this. I have a wellness foundation called the Coaxum Connects Wellness Foundation, and so the goal of the foundation is to get healthy, is to get everyone healthy, right? Because your health is your wealth. But then the proceeds from that is going to go towards young people from fifth grade to college, and we're going to pay for it all. So they're going to have the equestrian lessons, and they're going to have the etiquette training, and they're going to have an internship, and they're going to have a sponsor because everything can't be free, right? And then they're
That's right.
also going to have an opportunity to travel. And so in that travel, we can look at ways to kind of partner with your program so that we're able to take them not just throughout the United States, not just, different places where they're going to have fun, but to Africa to learn their history, to understand their history, and be able to move forward. Because a history they don't understand is destined to be repeated. So we definitely want to make sure. So that's something that we have in common, and that's the best practice. I know
That's right.
Adelaide Stanford told me some years ago, bro. She said to me, I was asking her, we were at a conference, and there were about three black men on the stage telling black women how to gain in their business and do all these different things. And I looked at her and I said, "What's wrong with this picture? I don't see any top 500 women on this stage." And I said, "What do we do about this?" And she said, "You start with the children."
Mm,
You start with the children. And when I tell you that is the most profound thing that anyone has ever said to me in that space, that really, really works. You start educating them really, really young. Fifth grade is that age where they kind of teeter totter. I want to be grown, but not quite grown. I'm an adult, but not an adult. And that's the space where you can actually get them to make some really positive decisions that change the trajectory of their lives. And so I'm all about jumping in there with you guys, making sure that our young people are being supported and encouraged. And more importantly, get on that plane because you're right. They haven't been on a plane. When I was in the district attorney's office, I had an opportunity to work with 150 young people that we mentored, along with we had Ife. I'm sure you know Ife
hmm
from
Ife Charles.
Yep, Ife
Hmm.
Charles worked with us. Sheehan Jackie was a part of it. Kepra was a part of it. We had a whole lot of individuals that were a part of this movement. And what we did was train these young people to be moderators and facilitators. And then we took them throughout all of Brooklyn talking about silence and the violence. And we had them talk to each other. And so in the back, we would have the police department and the social workers, and we had the nurses and whoever else we needed to have there, because once you took it out that can, it couldn't go back in. And we had
Mm,
so many different opportunities to actually encourage and inspire these young people. And I remember having conversations with my community about a couple of these young people that they felt like were not going to be able to succeed. And they said, "Don't waste your time." Those are the ones we poured into even more. And I'm here to say
wow.
one of those individuals that they wrote off, he's now at the 77 precinct, and he is elevated to the role of captain, and he was driving around the commander at some point. And so this is somebody they said don't worry about him, but that's the
Wow.
person we worried about. And in that, though, we were very strategic in our approach. We didn't talk at those young people, we spoke to those young people. We asked them what their needs were, and then we met them where they were. And even in Broward Park, when we had to really step in and try to encourage them not to silence the violence, right? Todd Taylor was a youth officer then. You know what he did? He took his DJ equipment, plugged it into it at the park, and started training them in the park. And all of the gang members made Broward Park their neutral ground. That was not the case.
Mm.
This is how we change the trajectory. And so when you told
That's
me
right.
that your beautiful wife is actually looking at opportunities, these are best practices. These things work. They work then, they work now. And we're looking forward to making sure that we continue to encourage and empower our young people to take them to the next level, because the only way we do it is together. Because the people
That's right.
divided will always be defeated. We'll stand together, we'll be able to encourage and empower. So I want to thank you for those best practices, and really just highlighting the importance of why we should include our youth in everything we do. They should be at the table.
Yeah, one of the things that I've my wife has helped me to do is I was in the midst of writing a book, and she actually named the book, and the book is called "Pass the Baton," and it's preparing the next generation of activism.
I love
And
it.
it's really helping those individuals because we ain't gonna be around here forever.
That's right.
So we have to be able to learn to pass the baton because people didn't do it for me. I had to take the baton. So you have to be able to encourage one another and encourage the young people to start, and pass the baton in whatever way, in which form that they have to do. Because people of other colors, and other race, they learn at a very young age to do that. When they go to their bar mitzvah, the time that a Jewish kid turns 15 years old, he has $32,000 in his account. So we need to be able to learn and to do. We are the original
That's money
people,
management. That right there,
exactly.
you just put your hand on the pulse of one of the barriers to access that our young people and adults, small business owners, that's one of their top barriers, access to capital.
That's right.
Access to capital.
We have to just change our mindset, because at 13 we be having all these parties for our children, but we spend it, on different stuff instead of putting it in a savings account for our children. So when they get older and want to go to college, they have something to bounce off of. They have something. So we just need to change the mindset of how we do and what we do. And
And change
I
our
try to
relationship
do
with
that.
money. Changing our relationship with money. I mean, I read this book. One of the rabbis wrote a book, Thou Shalt Prosper. And
Mm,
he really talked about changing just like you said, changing our mindset and changing our relationship with money. Money is not a bad thing. It's an instrument.
that's
It's
right.
an instrument to give you access to things that you want, things that you need, and things that will help you grow, and it will grow your legacy. So sometimes we look at it like, oh, we're not supposed to get paid. Oh, you're supposed to get paid. And I tell
That's
my
right.
small businesses all the time, if you're in business and you're not getting paid, you are not in business. You have a hobby.
That's right.
We need to
That's right.
figure out how to get you a business so you can so
That's
you
right.
can get paid, because it's all about, at the end of the day, is building wealth. It's not even about getting paid, it's about building wealth. What are we doing to build this wealth for our generations to come? Like you're saying, this legacy, this access to capital for your young people, teaching them that their relationship with money should be money as an instrument will get you this, this, and this. This is how you invest it. This is how you make your money make money. And if we have to pay the richest man from Babylon in the background, or Think and Grow Rich, and while we're driving down the street and they don't even know what they listen to, but what we are doing is pouring into them those principles and they concepts from 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 years old. So when they are 15 and they are 17 and they are 18, their relationship with money would be very different from our relationship. I know I came from the South, born and raised. You can't have this. You can't have that. Money don't grow on trees.
That's
Those
right.
are all the kind of things that I heard about money. And so my relationship with money was very, very different than anyone else's relationship that is in my circle at this time. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back. Thank you for being on the Coaxum Report.
I used to watch BET, MTV, VH1, now I watch Tempo. Soca, Calypso, Reggae Dancehall. Don't stall, better get tuned in to the Tempo. Don't have cable, they got an app. Go to your app store, download that. Whether it's tourism, cuisine, or the social scenes, if it ain't Tempo, it's a rap. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. Mr. Latest in Caribbean news? Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo. Who got the Caribbean views? Tempo. Mr. Latest in Caribbean news? Tempo. You tryna cook Caribbean food? Tempo. You know they got the music videos too. Tempo.
I'm Charles Meriday, and I'm in the restaurant business. In my 20 years as a chef and restaurant owner, I've been able to work and eat in some of the great kitchens around the globe. There's a whole side of the restaurant that most people will never get to see. So now, I want to take you to the back of the house, into kitchens of some of the best chefs in the world. Along the way, I'll share some of my own tips and recipes so you can cook like a pro too. So join me in the back of the house for a whole new perspective on cooking and food. Order in. Roger. Serve it, please.
Buona Pasqua.
I'm glad that you came, please.
ICABA, ICABA, stands for the International Career and Business Alliance. And basically, it's really about building, activating relationships that grow wealth.
What is Akamba doing? Akamba is putting you in an environment where you can rub shoulders, you can actually talk to wealth creators, to entrepreneurs who may look like you, who may come from circumstances like you, who may come from an environment like your environment. And then once you go ahead and grab that baton, you might say, well, this is possible. This individual over here did it, and now I can do it. So Akamba is raising our level of vision, and they're doing a fantastic.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Coaxum Report. So I'm sitting here talking to my brother from another mother, Reverend Dr. Kevin McCall. He's been dropping nuggets left and right. So please get out your pen. He has some more knowledge to drop. We talked about barriers. And we talked about barriers being access to capital. We talked about barriers when he first started out and how young he was, but all the knowledge, skills, and ability that he has gained from all of those experiences that it is able to help him now in the space that he's in. We talked about passing the baton. Like, that's his book, and he's going to tell us how we can get access to it later on in the show. So passing the baton, being able to encourage, empower, and to really take folks to the next level. And Kevin, what you don't know is I ran the 3x100 race, and I was the third leg. And so it was all about passing the baton to make sure that we were running straight through and achieving victory. Was able to break a lot of records in track, and so I know a little bit about passing the baton. But I also know a lot about relationships, right? So when we're thinking about when we first started off in this space that we call politics, in this space that we call government and community relations, and I tell my students all the time, sometimes we weren't at the table, and if you're not at the table, then you're on the menu. It's not that decisions aren't being made; they're still being made. We're just not at the table. But what you're able to do with the organizations that you're leading is you're able to put people at the table, to put the people in the right seats at the right time. And I think that's always important. I had the pleasure, I heard you say when we were talking last, that you weren't always put at the table. Well, that hasn't been my experience. I came to New York at 16 years old with a box of vanilla wafers and the clothes on my back, and I did. I was going to go to John Jay College because I saw a billboard that said that John Jay College was a college of criminal justice. And I became that billboard years later, and I looked up on the train sometimes when I was riding, and I was like, CUNY success story. That is a testament of who God is, not who I am. That's a testament of who he is. This little girl from Colleton County, they had an outhouse that went from working, from coming to New York City with being homeless in the first 3 hours to actually working for the first Black president of the United States in Small Business Administration. That's God's testimony. But those experiences are because of the relationships that I had when I first moved to New York. And one of my first jobs was at 525 Hevermeyer, Manufacturer Hanover Trust Bank, Manny Hanny. And at Manny Hanny, my mentor was Marty Needleman, who is the chief project director for Brooklyn Legal Services. He introduced me to Vito Lopez and introduced me to politics, and the rest is history. So I say all that to say somebody had my name in mind. Somebody prayed for me and put me at that table with access to other things. And I went from working from the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office, running Community Relations Bureau, to being the first African American woman to work for Chuck Schumer as his deputy
That's
state
right.
director, to working for President Barack Obama, the first African American woman to be the regional advocate for New York, New Jersey, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands, to working for Dharma Diaz in City Council, Kevin Parker in the Senate, and numerous others to now be running Coaxum Connects, connecting you because relationships matter. And it all ended and began with relationships. And so I am happy and honored to know that you wrote a book called Pass the Baton, because all of this knowledge, information, and everything that we gain in life, we have to be willing to give it to somebody else, because we can't die and keep it. We
That's
got to
right.
be able to share it. And we're like those talents. I don't want to be the one to bury the talent. I want to be the one to spread the wealth. And so I want to thank you about those nuggets that you just gave us about passing the baton and all the knowledge, skills, and ability you've been able to use to run the Action Network, to feed the homeless, to feed the hungry, not just their mind, not just their bodies, but holistically. And that's a big feat. And at your age, and I'm not trying to dismiss your age, but I'm trying to let others see that if you can do this at your age, there's so many more things that other people can do. There is no limit to the things that we can do with the information that you're able to share and to give to others. So I want to commend you on that with those nuggets and those best practices. Those are all best practices. Those are
That's
best
right.
practices. And now I want to jump a little bit into big ideas. Big ideas. One of these big ideas is your wife's, her vision to be able to take young people and take them to Africa, to not only visit Africa, but actually to immerse in the culture in Africa, to understand the food they eat, to understand the pride they have, to be able to see those leaders that look like us, to be able to walk among them, to know their history and their stories. And so that's a big idea. And it's doable in this generation, and it will be done. I'm positive that it can be done and it will be done, as long as you guys are keeping your eye on the prize. What are some of those other big ideas that you have that you want to share on the Coaxum Report today?
Another idea that has embarked to do is in New York City. They don't. If you ride the train or the bus,
Mm-hmm.
there is no. If you're handicapped, you have to wait for the bus to stop. You have to wait for the bus driver to pull out the ramp. Uh, the modern day buses, they have the ramp where it just folds out, come in, or some of the buses you can just ride on. But that slows down the bus. And if there is, each bus has four seating for handicap and disabled. Some buses have two. So if the bus is full already, then the person that's in a wheelchair or disabled, they have to wait for the next bus. So one of the grandiose ideas that we have is that I have is to do something that is strictly for people who transportation strictly for individuals who are handicapped and disabled
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
only, that so they can be able to ride and go and travel. So we're going to start that out as a pilot program.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, they have pilot programs where they have one bus in New York City in each borough that is free up until March. So you can ride the bus for free. Just in each borough, they have that now. So if they have money for that, going to be talking to them about having this pilot program that can be able to deal with it, because
And then
a lot of people,
how would they be able to access it? Are they going to be able to access it from an app? Will they be able to access it from an app? Will they be able to say this person is at this location, so you can see when the bus is coming? Like right now, you can download the app for New York City and you can see the amount of time the bus is going to come. You can't tell if the bus is full. Maybe that's something else they can add, right? If the bus is full or not. But will they be able to access this special bus that's dedicated to this population? How would they be able to access it? I'm thinking maybe an app or some kind of.
so So right now, you're absolutely right. Right now on the Metro North, if you take the Metro North and download the app, it would tell you which cart is full and which cart is empty. So
That's
this is
right.
the same thing program
Really?
they can, yes, it's the same program they can do for the buses for if there's a wheelchair on the particular bus.
Okay.
That the bus
Okay.
driver can actually do and can be updated. They have Wi-Fi now on the buses. They have USB cords now. You can charge your phone on the bus. So this is something that we that can be able to happen. Also, some seniors, because they're disabled, they don't know how to use the technology. So what the goal is, as with the pilot program, is at each bus stop or each particular route to have a particular certain sections along the route where you have a button that can be pressed that alerts the bus that you want them to stop there to pick you up. So that
Nice.
can maybe we
Nice.
already have it in place right now where you want to cross the street, you can press the button,
That's right.
and then so all the MTA can do is it can work through Wi-Fi. If you press the button, and they will come along that route. So we're going to start. The goal is to be able to expand to other routes, but at least start with one route. A lot of people go to downtown Brooklyn, which is the B25 bus line, which we saved years ago because they were closing that
That's right.
major bus line, and we had marches and rallies to save that bus line because so many seniors use that bus line to go to their appointments downtown Brooklyn, so which is the mecca of Brooklyn. So because of that, we can do the same thing along the bus line from Broadway Junction all the way down to Borough Hall, to where this initiative in terms of the services can happen. A lot of people have it. Another issue that we're going to tackle, which I don't see a lot of people have, which is dealing with the accessor ride. The
That's what I was
accessor
going to ask
ride
you the difference.
in
I was going to
itself,
ask you the difference between this mode of transportation and the accessor ride, which my cousin, unfortunately, he passed away earlier in the month, but he called it a stressor ride. A
stressor ride. Yes,
stressor ride.
yeah, you hear that a lot. So I want to tackle that. That is something that I want to be able to tackle this year, this coming year, in terms of the accessor ride, because there are individuals that take there. So in order to qualify for the accessor ride, first of all, you got to go to their doctor, and they have to be able to see you to see if you even qualify to go on the assessor ride. Once they qualify you, then they give you a discounted card. Then you're eligible to be able to take this service. You can call a number or request on the app or go on the internet to get to register a ride. However, there's no system in place to where if it cancels or if it's running late or anything like that, it's always a disaster,
A
and when it
stress.
comes down to that,
Yep.
is a
A stress.
stress
A
around.
stress ride.
So to really deal with that and to really have a hearing, to deal with those that having a hearing under one of the committees in the city council, to really deal with that, and also the state, because MTA is ran by the state. So and also be able to deal with those, to be able to change the system. It
That's
has to
right.
be a better system to deal with the assessor ride, and it has to be something
And the
where somebody
technology
can be held
exists. Yeah,
be held
accountable.
accountable,
Yeah,
because
because I
there's a
remember
lot
my
of
cousin being
appointments.
stuck for like 4 hours. Like, how do you stick a disabled person that's not able to walk for 4 hours? And no one's calling, no one's saying anything. And then when you get there, you act like you're doing him a favor.
The
So
only
you're
the only
absolutely right.
option the only option that people have is they tell them, "Oh, get a cab or Uber, and we'll reimburse you." Then that takes long to get reimbursed.
Especially because
So
you're in a wheelchair, so you need a special cab or a
exactly,
special Uber. So yeah, I'm
exactly,
glad you guys are tackling this population because I mean it's really, really important, especially not just our seniors. There is a population of individuals that are disabled that need to have care and consistency. If they're going to be going to their appointments, they don't want to be stressed. They want to
that's
assess
right,
a ride, right?
that's
So
right.
that's what I was going to ask you about this mode of transportation in relationship with accessorized, but you answered that for me. So
Yes, it needs to
basically,
be connected and needs to be able to deal with issues, because these population. I mean, our one of our leaders, Dr. William Barber. He went to the movies. He's from North Carolina. He's the founder of More Mondays, and he went to the movies on yesterday to see the color purple in his hometown where he's from, where he started Mormon is from. And they kicked him out because he could not sit. He has a bad hip, and he has a special chair where he his mode of transportation, where they kicked him out the movie theater because he was sitting in the handicapped section, but they wanted him to get out of his chair to sit in one of their chairs. And that was a mode of transportation. So that was, and he has a bad hip. And one of the things is that he can't get up because he walks with two canes. And this man has been to the White House. He's been to the Capitol building, to the Senate building. I mean, he's been all over the country with his chair and two canes. But here it is, he goes to a movie theater and they kick him and his 94-year-old mother out of the movie theater. So, I mean, we have to take care of our seniors. We have to be able to
Wow.
deal with them because, you know, they are our foundation. So there's two things my wife always say that she cares about and she kind of got me to care about more is children and seniors.
That's right. That's definitely those are the legacy. The children and the seniors bridging that gap between our seniors and our children so they to help them understand, because again, that history again, you need them to understand that history, that rich history that the seniors are able to offer to us. I remember growing up in the South, I used to be a candy striper. I'm sure people don't know what that means anymore, but I used to volunteer at the hospital, my little red and white little dress on. And one of the things that I love to do was to sit and read to my seniors. And I'm telling you, the bro, the stories that they would
Mhm.
tell me are still embedded in my mind, and they were able to really change my trajectory because I'm able to see and be tolerant of things that I would not have had access to had I not spoken to our seniors. And so I encourage young people, and I even make a way for young people to do something for the senior. I'm the vice president of the 77 precinct community council, and our president is Brian Saunders, and he's always doing something with the seniors. I mean, we have a senior night. We go to the senior center and we dance with them and we play games and have fun. But it's all about bridging that gap and helping them to understand that we appreciate everything that they did to allow us to be in the space that we're in right now. So that's definitely a best practice and a big idea, bridging that gap with our seniors. I mean, this has been a tremendous show. This has really been powerful and impactful. And, I hope to have you come back and talk to us a little more. And the one thing I want to kind of end with you talking about is what you're doing around our business. A lot of business closed after COVID. There's a lot of things going on. One of the things you mentioned, which kind of really is heartfelt, is the way that you're able to give these hot meals, and you're having city workers stand online. They're working every day, and rent is high. They used to be one candidate would say rent is too damn high.
Londell
He ran
McMillan.
on that platform,
Yes, he did.
but the rent is high, and so you have to make choices about what you're going to do with that money. So what are we doing about just making sure we're encouraging and empowering our business? What I ask my community to do, and all those that are listening, make sure that you're spending your money at a small business. Make sure that business in your community, that you're accessing that business and you're putting your money there, because one day you may go and they not be there because we're not pouring back into them. Yeah, it's okay to get a cheaper rate at the Walmarts and the Target every now and again, but you want to have that corner store there when you have to get that milk in the middle of the night and those other places are too far to get to. So tell me what some of the initiatives that you guys are doing around encouraging and empowering our small business, especially now that you're going to be back in a city council space. I'm sure that's going to be something, those small business corridors are going to be something that you guys are going to be pushing. And again, our brother from another mother, Brother Chris Banks, congratulations, city council member. We love you. Tell me some of the things that you're going to be doing around that as we're wrapping up the show.
Well, one of the things that we have to support small black businesses.
That's right.
We
Black and
we
brown. Let's
we
make it black and
black and
black and brown.
brown. We
Every
have
on you
to
good.
support our businesses, our local businesses, because they are the thrive of the community.
That's right.
If you don't want gentrification to happen, support black businesses, because those black businesses are the beacon of hope that will transform. So one of the things that we have to go back to that we know that works is our merchant associations
Associations. That's right.
and our businesses. You have all of these corporations that and box corporations that come into our community that we don't we they don't give back nothing. They when you talk to them, they tell you talk to corporate. But guess what? The local store supports. The
That's
local
right.
supermarket supports. So we have
That's
to be
right.
able to
They're supporting that little
build
league. They're supporting that football team.
exactly.
They're supporting those cheerleaders. They're supporting that
That's
band.
right.
You go and they're giving you they 10, 25, 100, $500. They're supporting National Night Out Against Crime.
That's right. So we
They're
have to support
absolutely.
them.
Yeah,
Yes, we
we
have to
have to.
support them. We have to be able to encourage them. We have to be able to empower them,
Mhm.
and to let them know what available resources that they have
And we
that
have to
the
be able
city
to protect
offers.
them. We have to be
Uh,
able to protect them too.
exactly.
So
And
with
then
regulations, especially
correct.
you're in this space now, you know how this works. You came in 16, 17 years old, kicking in the door. So you know how it works when it comes to these regulations that can bury our business. Making sure this legislation and regulation is not burying our business, that it's sensible. We want everybody to be protected, but we don't want it to be so big of a burden that our small business are going out of business.
That's right. We have to be able to support the underdog
That's
and
right.
those businesses that are in our community that want to be able to help and prosper. One of the things that we're going to be doing is, speaking of businesses, is we're going to be dealing with this issue of all of these marijuana shops that are in our community. 90% of them are not uh, in our
License,
community the
license,
right way.
license.
They're not
Mhm.
licensed. That doesn't mean that we don't support the marijuana community and those who want to do it the right way. But these shops are coming in our community, and to no regards, we fight for them to be closed. They paid a fine within a month. They open back up again. And some of them are so bold to where they be right next door to each other or right across the street from each other. So one of the things and it hurts the businesses because people, the local business, don't want to open because the crime that comes with that, and the traffic that comes with that. So we have to be able to be mindful in dealing with that issue. I know that the mayor and the governor has done some initiatives to do that, but we have to get something. We have to put boots on the ground and really organizing and shutting these places down. We shut down
And
other
opening up
businesses.
the right way. Because if they
That's
have
right.
a license, they're accountable, right?
Correct.
And so, I mean, again, cannabis is legal. We get it. But we want to make sure when they're coming into the community that they're responsible and accountable to the communities that they're coming into. And so opening them the right way, making sure that they have a relationship with the community board, making sure they have a relationship with the precinct community council, a relationship with the merchants association, so
That's
that
right.
they are good neighbors. We don't want people just any business. We don't want any business to plop into the neighborhood just to make money and run out before dark and come back and make. We want to make sure that you're accountable. We want to make sure that you're responsible, but more importantly, we want to make sure that you're good neighbors in the areas
That's right.
that you're opening your business in, no matter what type of business it is. And because it's a cannabis business, we want to make sure that you have the right license, and we want to
That's
make
right.
sure that folks like us have the opportunity to get these licenses
That's right.
to be able to grow this legacy in the space that they're growing it in. We look at other communities like Colorado and different communities.
California.
We need to make sure that we are in this space and we're in this space accountably. We're in this space with all the rules and regulations so that we're able to grow our communities as responsible neighbors. And I think that that is so important. That gets lost in the sauce. We don't want that to get lost in the sauce. We want that to be upfront, closed, and personal so the individuals that look like us can be business owners with this license to be able to grow in this community through accountability and responsibility. And then that's how we're able to take this thing to the next level. So, I want to thank you so much for leading that charge, because it is important for us to not be put in the background when we are when we were at the epicenter of this, when it
That's
was on
right.
the other side.
Exactly.
So it's
Exactly.
not, it is what it is, and we understand it. But we're in a space now to really make traction and move the needle so that we are included in the right way. So I want to thank you so much for leading that charge. We got a few more minutes. Tell us, give us final thoughts on whatever you want to give us a final thought on. You gave us some good nuggets. You gave us some best barriers, best practices, and big ideas. Plan to have you on the show again to talk about passing the baton. But want you to leave us with one final thought and actually also tell us how we can get your book.
I want us as a people to be empowered. I want us to continue to learn how to work with one another. I want us to continue to, whatever your faith is, to be able to put God first in everything you do, and everything else will follow.
That's right.
I want our people to be in a place of healing, because we go through so much as a people, and we need to learn how to heal correctly, and really be in a place of we can be able to move forward. So sometimes we have to go back to right our wrongs, and I want us to be able to do that. We can
Always
also,
forward, never backwards.
that's
That's
right.
right.
I want to,
Thank you.
Reverend Herbert Daughtry used to always have a saying that's forward ever, backwards never.
That's it.
And
I want
so
to
we
leave it
have
right
to
there because I want that to be a powerful thought. So let's say it again. Forward
forward
ever,
ever,
backwards
backwards
never.
never.
Thank you so much for being on the Coaxum Report. Take care.